Hello, hello. Welcome, my friends, to the podcast. It has been a minute. You are listening to the Sick is Cool podcast, previously known as the Chronically Me podcast. We're going to talk about that name change. Today, we're going to talk about where have I been. We're talking about what's happening in the future of this podcast, what's been going on, all the things. We're going to chat about that today. And I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be back. I've been wanting to get back to this for so long. And if you've been following along on YouTube or on Instagram, you may have seen what's been going on, things here and there. I had a baby 6 months ago. Cannot believe it's been 6 months, but also it has been a lot. A lot has happened in 6 months. And this baby is beautiful and amazing and such a blessing to our family. But it has been one of the hardest 6 months of our lives, especially those first 4 months. There's been lots of sicknesses. I've had multiple surgeries. I had major surgery with a hysterectomy. I had a urethral sling put in, and I had a bladder and bowel lift surgery all at the same time. That was very difficult. I finally feel like I'm healing from that. It took a very long time to get through that. The first month or so was awful. And then after that, it's slowly gotten better, but took much longer than I would have anticipated. I had kidney stones. Our HVAC system died. We had to get a new HVAC system here. We had broken bones. I had a child break their collarbone a couple weeks ago. I guess it's been like a month and a half now. We had broken bones. We've had every sickness you could imagine. My baby was sick at 2 weeks old and was hospitalized and was on oxygen. And man, there's just been so many things. That's just like the tip of the iceberg of what's been going on. And it's been very difficult. And on top of it, because we've been sick so much, and I know everyone's been sick. That's not like we're not unique in that. Anyway, when you've had a baby, it's even worse because then they don't sleep, but then my other kids don't sleep, and we just have not been sleeping over here. Well, I haven't been sleeping because everybody needs me. And it's fine. And I'm happy to do it, but it makes it very difficult. I also have been dealing with some postpartum depression. I'm doing much better with that. We can talk about that today, maybe a little bit later. But I was really struggling with postpartum depression for a few months, particularly after my surgery. Until probably about a month ago, it was really bad. And you can see some videos on YouTube. I did a few videos while I was struggling with that, but not as many as I would have liked to do. I haven't done any podcasting, and you've been listening to episodes of this up until December, and then I had one more episode go live in, I think, February. So it may not seem like it's been that long to you, but I actually haven't recorded an episode since August. So it's been a very long time. I recorded a bunch of episodes before I had the baby so that they would still be going live, thinking that by 3 months I would be able to get back to podcasting, but that didn't happen. So here we are a few months later, finally getting to it. And side note, in my last podcast, I mentioned my productivity workbook, and the reason that went up later is because my workbook wasn't done yet. So I finished it, put that episode up. Ironically, that productivity workbook took me forever, but it will change your life because I used many of the things in that workbook to complete the workbook. And as I went through editing it, I was like, oh my gosh, why am I not doing this thing? And why am I not following this plan that I had in the workbook? Like, there's some great things in there. You'll really benefit from it. But right as I posted that episode, I had made a mistake on my website, messed up the domain name. It's a long story. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Basically, my domain name got messed up, meaning you could not get to my website. And so if you were listening to the episode, you were wanting to check out the workbook, I will link it in this episode because I did fix my website. It's all back up and running. It just has a new link. And so if you go to some of my old videos, I plan to go through and change all the links and make them correct now as I fix things, but it just make sure you go to the more recent episodes or more recent videos on YouTube if you want to get to my website because I just messed some things up there. Okay, so anywho, everything's up now. Check the links. If you want to check out my productivity workbook, it's about how to live more productive with chronic illness. the thing I love about it is that it's not a one size fits all where you just have one system that you follow. And that's how my old productivity course was. It was just one system, follow the whole system, hopefully it works for you. This one, I decided to make it customizable. So there's tons of different ideas in there, and then you get to pick what works for you and your lifestyle and your illness, because I have some people who I coach who are bedbound. They can't get out of bed. I have other people who can work full time and they just have kind of annoyance of this chronic illness, but they can still function mostly up to, I don't know what you want to call it, normal level, someone who's not chronically ill. And so because there's so many varying factors, it's hard to make a system that works perfect for everyone. And that's why I decided to make this much more of a customizable thing. So whether you are bedbound or whether you are very high functioning as someone who lives chronically ill, and whether you have kids or whether you're in college or wherever you are in life, this workbook will have different ideas for you that you can try on. And maybe there's one thing that will stick with you. Maybe there's multiple things, but there's many, many ideas in there, and I hope you will love it. I will link it down below. So that is something I have been working on. I have been doing that. I just haven't been filming or recording anything. Life's been crazy. So as you may have noticed, as if you're watching this on YouTube, just like random background, I'm in my unfinished office. If you've seen my house tour video, I just put some sheets on my walls down here. We have an unfinished basement, and I just made myself a little office. Well, my husband did most of it, but we just put some sheets on the walls. We made it functioning, and it's nothing fancy, but here we are. Speaking of nothing fancy, this podcast, for now, while things are still crazy, as I'm getting back in the routine of things, I have 4 kids. No, not 4 kids. I have 3 kids, 4 and under, and it's just very difficult. I have very little time to myself and very little energy to do things that I want to do. And so, well, I want to take care of my kids. I shouldn't say that. That's a poor way to say that. I have very little extra energy outside of taking care of my kids, taking care of my home, and taking care of myself, my own physical and mental health, that sometimes it's just difficult to get all the things out and get my lights out and my camera and get ready and all the things. And so I've decided if I don't relax and kind of chill out the podcast a little bit, I'm never going to do it. So I was waiting until I could get back to, making notes and having everything planned out very specifically and being able to edit and cut out the fluff and the times I repeat myself, and because I do that a lot. I just do. But I found that if I don't just turn on the mic and talk and get something out there, I'm never going to do it right now. It's just not going to happen. So we're going to just relax things, okay? Things are going to be a lot more relaxed on the podcast. If we end up hating it and in a year from now I have more energy and time and I want to change it back and you want me to change it back to how it was before, then maybe we'll do that. But for now, we're gonna sit and chat, okay? We're gonna make it chill. I'm not gonna edit it. I'm not gonna add a bunch of fluff and craziness. It's just gonna be a very simple, chatty podcast where I'm gonna talk to you about all things chronic illness. I'm going to answer your questions. So anytime someone has sent me a DM on Instagram or a message on Facebook or sent me an email with a question, I have written all those down and I'm going to start going through those on the podcast. I also want to do more interviews. So if anybody is interested in being interviewed on the podcast, if you are a healthcare professional, if you live with chronic illness, if you live with a spouse or a friend or a family member with chronic illness, I would love to interview on the podcast and have it be just a conversation. I mean, most of my interviews were very chill conversations. That will be kind of the same style there, but I did figure out how to make the audio better when I do Zoom calls. So I apologize to my previous podcast interviewees because the sound quality wasn't great. I'm going to re-upload those ones. I shouldn't promise things that I haven't done yet. I hope to re-upload those ones with, at least on the podcast. Probably I won't change them on YouTube, but re-upload them on the podcast with the better audio because there's a free AI audio enhancer that I found that is genius from Adobe. If anybody's a podcaster and wants to try it out, it's totally free. But it sounds so much better. So we're going to do that. And if anyone's far away, I'd love to interview you over a video call. If anyone is nearby, I just bought a second podcasting mic, so I'd love to interview you here in person. I've also had a ton of questions for my husband as someone who's a caregiver for someone who lives chronically ill. So we'll have him on the podcast. I thought it might be fun to have like my best friend on the podcast. I asked her if she wanted to jump on and talk to you guys about what it's like to be friends with someone who's chronic illness. And if you have any questions for my husband or for my best friend or anyone else I should interview in my life, let me know. Send me an email, comment on the YouTube version of this podcast, and we'll get it answered for you. So questions that come in, we're going to start answering those. And yeah, it's just going to be more chill. It's going to be less planned out, I guess. I'm just going to come with questions. I might think about it beforehand, but I used to just like write notes and have very specific points I wanted to hit. And although it may get rambly, I realized I actually like listening to rambly podcasts. And some of my favorite podcasters are people who just talk and they just have conversations, or they just talk by themselves and answer questions. And I love those. So hopefully anybody else does. And if you hate it and I hate it, maybe one day we'll get back to a different style. Maybe we'll change things up. We're always adapting here at Aimee Esther's, I don't know, what is this? Aimee Esther's content creation, YouTube, Instagram, podcasting, wherever we do this stuff. I feel like I'm always changing things, deciding, oh, I don't want to talk about myself. Actually, no, I do want to talk about myself. I just, we change things up all the time. Anywho, okay. Other things that I wanted to chat about today. Oh, the name of this podcast. Okay. So I'm changing the name of the podcast to Sick is Cool. If you don't get it, then sick for us millennials. I'm 28 years old, so I feel like I'm not even cool anymore. I still feel so young, but I'm like not cool anymore. Sick is another term for cool. That's what we called cool back in the day. And sick is also when you are chronically ill and sick. Sorry if you're watching this on YouTube, and I just realized I'm just like moving around, but we're chill here, okay? We're making this a chill podcast. Sick, as in I'm chronically ill, and I'm sick all the time, 24/7. And just today I woke up, and I've been feeling so good, which is so funny because I haven't gotten into podcasting. But I was feeling so good for like 2 weeks, and then I woke up this morning and had this huge flare, and I was like, what is going on? I hardly get out of bed, and I'm obviously feeling much better now. But I'm still, I don't know, it's just so weird. You never know when it's going to come on. And I have a lot of things I'm trying to. Am I allowed to burp on the podcast? We're going to just leave that in because we're going to be chill, okay? Sorry. This is real life. And when you live with SIBO, small intestine bacterial overgrowth, you get the burps and you get the gas, okay? That's just how it is here. All right. You guys are going to hate this. Do you guys hate this? Let me know in the comments on YouTube. Of me just like chatting about nothing. Ooh, this could be, I don't know. But who knows? Maybe you'll love it. Those are my favorite podcasts, like I said. Okay. And brain fog and getting to the point. But this is real life. What was I talking about? Sick is cool. Is that what I was talking about? Is that right? Anyway. Yeah, there's obviously the fact that being sick should be a cool thing. Because you know what? I always think of myself as weird, think of myself as like annoying that I'm so sick and I bug people because I'm always sick. And I just realized it can be cool to be sick. Like, so what? And yes, I'm going to do things that I think might help me feel better so I feel less sick. That's, of course, in the plan. I'm going to keep trying to find solutions. I'm going to keep trying to decrease my pain through different treatment options. However, it can still be cool to be sick. We don't need to just make it this thing that has to go away right away. Let's just make it more chill, more cool. That's what we're doing. So anyway, the reason that I changed it, I guess I don't need to explain what it meant, but the reason that I changed the podcast title is because it's bugged me since day one. So it was called Chronically Me. my course is called Chronically Me. I have a course. It is about how to have a better mindset with chronic illness, how to be happy, how to find more purpose, how to find joy and meaning. And those were all the same words, purpose and meaning, joy and happiness. Okay. It's about how to live the life you want to live when you live chronically ill and without changing your pain, although I still advocate for finding solutions. Like I said, always do that. But if you're in a place where you are searching for solutions and you can't find anything, but you're miserable, this is how to not be miserable, okay? In the situation you're in right now, whether or not your pain changes or not, this is how to not feel awful all the time. You might feel awful physically, but you know it's possible to not feel awful mentally. So I made a whole course on it. It's called Chronically Me. It will help you conquer your own brain and live an awesome life. Whether you live with depression, like I have been, or anxiety, or physical symptoms, or fibromyalgia, or POTS, or Lyme disease, or Crohn's disease, or whatever it is, physical or mental, you can still live an awesome life. And I teach you how to do that in that course. And I've had some great reviews on it. You guys are loving it who are in it. It's kind of the way to get coaching with me without paying for coaching and having that one-on-one experience, which I do highly recommend. I love working with my clients. That is the one thing I've still been doing, is working with my clients. I love you guys. If you're listening to this podcast, I get so excited and I feel so much better every time I talk to you. And it's just the best when we get to talk one-on-one. So I do offer one-on-one coaching where we can sit and talk about all the problems you're going through and help you manage your life and your brain when you're living with chronic illness. We talk about that one-on-one, or you can take the course and it kind of teaches you how to do it on your own. So many options for you there. But the point is, yeah, this is why I can't do this. I just ramble all day, but I kind of love it. I just need a place to talk, especially with my depression recently. It's like I need to sit down and just chat and get all my feelings and my thoughts out, because I just hold them in. I'm with kids all day long and I love them so dang much. But when I live chronically ill, it's so hard for me to get out of the house. It's so hard for me to socialize with adults. I think any mom deals with that, but especially when you also have very limited energy to do anything else, man, it's good to just sit and talk. So I feel like I'm just talking to my friends and we're hanging out. And it's great. Okay. What were we talking about? The name of the podcast. Oh man, this is going to be great. Okay. So Chronically Me, it was the only name I could think of when I was starting the podcast. And because the episodes of the podcast were kind of a similar style to what the course was about, I was like, they kind of go hand in hand. Like, well, they do go hand in hand. The course was more exactly how you do it, how do you change your mindset, and the podcast was, here's some different mindset shifts that you could have, right? And anyway, they went together, but it bothered me that they were the same. And I asked on Instagram and nobody cared. They were all like, Aimee, we don't care, or I like the name of the podcast as it is. You don't need to change it. But it has bothered me. And even though nobody else cared, it bothered me, okay? And I don't know, it felt kind of cheesy. And yeah, I don't know. I was over the Chronically Me. So I love my course. It's still going to be called Chronically Me. It help you change your mindset. But the podcast, whether or not I go back to the old style or I keep it at this chatty style, we will see. But going forward, the podcast is now called Sick is Cool. I don't know, it just rolls off the tongue better. I like it better. And when this podcast goes huge and everyone with chronic illness is listening to it, I would rather have it be called Sick is Cool. I don't know. I just like it. It's good. So, anywho, I changed it for no reason. And honestly, had nothing to do with the changes that I'm making at, like, making it more relaxed, chatty podcast. It had nothing to do with that. It just happened to be the same timing. I've thought about every time I post an episode, it bothered me. The name, I just didn't love it, but now we decided to just go for it. I guess what I should say is, I couldn't think of another name. And then I finally thought of another name, and that's where we are. I thought of the name actually because I saw a shirt that said kind is cool. And I thought, oh, that would make a cool t-shirt for my communities, but sick is cool. And then it clicked and I loved it. So here we are. All right, other things. What else did I want to talk to you about? Postpartum depression has been rough. I have finally found some solutions. I will probably do a whole YouTube video on it, but I've been taking some hormone balancing supplements, which I'm not a supplement person. Like, I've tried so many supplements and I always thought they were scams because they did nothing for me, or they made me feel worse, or they were just super expensive and a waste of money. But I found something that works for me. Now, I'm not saying it's going to work for you because lots of people told me supplements worked for them that did not work for me. But I've been taking, it's Hers, Mixhers, for hormone balancing supplement stuff. I don't really know, but they're specifically made for women, and there's different ones. There's one for heavy periods, there's one for sleep, there's one for digestion, there's lots of ones. I currently am taking one called Her Pleasure. You can look it up. Yes, that's what I'm taking. And I am taking Her Power, which is supposed to give you a boost of energy, almost like a caffeine replacement. I do not do well with caffeine. They do have a caffeine one. I tried it. Did not make me feel good because I don't do well with caffeine. But I love the Her Power one. It does make me feel like I have more energy. But the Her Pleasure one, which is the hormone balancing one, again, you can look it up. That's the one I'm taking. It has changed everything. Like, the day after I took it, I just felt balanced. I stopped having mood swings. I would go from 0 to 60 in anger, in crying, in all the emotions. And then I started taking the supplement and I'm like, boom, I'm even. Now, this is not at all sponsored. Oh no, now my baby's crying. Okay, my husband will take care of her. If he needs me, we may have to pause this and come right back. Anyway, this isn't sponsored at all. I don't even have a code for you. I reached out to them and asked for a code, and they haven't got back to me. So I was like, please give me a discount for my followers because I will talk about this every day. I love it so much. Anyway, I've tried those two. I do want to try the digestion one that's on my list. Probably order it with my next supply. It's like monthly, so I want them to all come together. And anyway, I'm going to try the digestion one. I would totally try the sleep one, except that it's not my choice when I'm not sleeping because I'm up with the baby all night. So maybe eventually, once my kids are sleeping through the night, I will try the sleep one. But anyway, I love those. That has been helping me a ton. So I'll do a whole video about postpartum depression because that was a rough time. I'm definitely doing better. I had actually last night, the first time since I started taking these supplements, where it kind of came back for a few minutes. But what's weird is I took the supplement early in the morning and I usually take it like halfway through the day. And I wonder if that's why. That's the only thing I did different. So anywho, I don't know. It works for me for some reason. And what else were we going to talk about? Oh, YouTube. Yeah. Okay. So I wanted to talk to you guys about this. YouTube is changing. I love YouTube and I love making videos on YouTube, but it's changing and I don't know how I feel about it. That's another reason why I want this podcast to be more chill, is because YouTube is becoming a place where you have to keep people's attentions and nobody has an attention span of longer than 30 seconds. And there's TikTok. I hate TikTok. I don't want to talk about it because I hate it so much. I don't have a TikTok. I just think it's the worst thing. I do not like it. I will not get on that platform ever. I have tried Instagram Reels. I've tried YouTube Shorts, but I just don't love it like I love making long form content. And I don't like consuming it. I do way too often, and then I hate it every time. I never feel better. I would much rather go to YouTube, watch a full video than end up watching the same amount of time or longer on all these short videos where I don't even remember them 5 seconds later. I don't like them. But as a content creator, it's hard because I need to keep up with the times. I need to do what people want. I need to not be so rambly and I need to cut things short and not repeat myself. And I am a rambler. I like to talk. And so I have had a lot of fun making some of my videos and kind of cutting it short and cutting out the fluff. If you've noticed some of my recent ones, I've been trying to cut back a lot on the chattiness. And sometimes I like it. It's fun to like see how short I can make it. But then I feel like I'm not talking to you and I'm not getting all the thoughts out. So here we are doing this podcast, and maybe you're just listening to this so you can do something else while you're doing it. Maybe you're laying on the couch with a migraine and you can have your ice pack on and just listen to me talk about life with chronic illness. I don't know, but I needed a place where I could sit and chat with you and not have to worry about cutting things off and worry about not being myself, because I have a lot of anxiety and a lot of, what's the word? Oh, I don't want to say self-esteem issues, but I get down on myself for how much I talk because I've had people say to me, like, why do you talk so much? Or not, why do you talk so much? But like, just telling me I talk too much and stop rambling, or I don't know. I've had that a lot, and then I get insecure. Maybe that's the word. I'm like kind of insecure about it, and I don't want to be. I just want to be myself and not have to feel like I need to have a filter on and need to cut things out that is just me talking, you know? And so my YouTube videos, regular YouTube videos, I do video this for YouTube if you're listening on the podcast. I do a video form of this, but I am probably going to keep cutting things short-ish on my regular YouTube videos outside the podcast, and I may try YouTube Shorts depending on if I have time or not. But my number one priority right now is probably going to be the podcast. I want to try to get an episode of the podcast out, hopefully weekly. I am not going to make any promises, but if I can do the podcast, and then if I have any time and energy left over, I have some other videos. I've been going through my entire house and decluttering, deep cleaning, organizing it. And when I say that, you might think that means that I'm just like every day going hard and getting things done around my house. No. Okay. It's taking me forever. My kitchen took me like 3 months just for the kitchen. And then, of course, by the time I finish, there's things I have to redo because it's not really working for us. And anyway, it's taking me a long time. So this is not like a rushed thing, but I've been recording it. So I have a bunch of content like that will be going out eventually. I have a lot of video ideas. People always ask me when it comes to, okay, my camera said that I'd been talking too long. Thanks, camera, for getting into my insecurities. Anyway, here we go again. Now I forgot what I was saying. The brain fog. It is so real. Crap. What was I saying? I honestly don't even know. Something about YouTube? Something about podcasting, maybe? Shoot. It's gone. It is completely gone. Okay? This is the real life podcast we're here for. That thought has left the building. It is not coming back. It's gone. It's definitely gone. All right, my friends. If you're still here with me, it's been fun to have you. It's been fun to just sit and chat and talk about anything that's on my mind. So I have a lot. Oh, I just remembered what it was. Good job, me. I have a lot of people who ask me, how do you have video ideas? Like, that's got to be the hardest part about creating content is getting more ideas. And I'm like, no, that's the opposite for me. I have a new idea every 20 minutes of the day. A video idea comes to me and I write it down. I have a whole list on my phone of video ideas that come to me. Some of them I'm sure are crap, but some of them are really good ideas, but it's executing them that I have the problem with, because time and energy. Energy is because of my chronic illnesses, obviously. Time is because of my children. I'm a stay-at-home mom, 3 kids, 4 and under, and we are not in anything. They're not in preschool. I have one child who's in a dance class once a week for an hour. That's it. And I'm with my kids the rest of the time. One of them naps, the baby naps, sometimes my 2-year-old naps, but pretty much I'm with them all day. We try to do quiet time. We try to, give me a few minutes a day of quiet, but it is very difficult. And so when you combine those two things, it is very hard to get things done. So with YouTube, I have so many ideas, and I want so badly to set myself a schedule and say, okay, I'm going to make this video on this day. And I have a video. I could do a video every day and have an idea every single day for you. But it's the energy and it's the time, And it's hard when it's both and I know everybody's like that. We all have circumstances, whether it's family, whether it's school, whether it's whatever. And then we have our chronic illnesses. If you're here, you probably have a chronic illness, or your spouse does, or your friend does, or someone you know. And when you have both of those, it's very difficult because you only have so much time. So for me, I only have my kids go to bed at night, 7 to 9 p.m. I got to go to bed by 9 or else I am exhausted. Speaking of, what time is it? 8:40. See, we got 20 minutes, my friends. But when that's the only time I have and I am with my children and doing things all day long, I don't have the energy during that time. So if it was only about time, I would have probably about 2 hours every single night to be able to work on YouTube. If it was only about energy, I have moments throughout my day where I feel better, where I could do something, or I have a whole day that's a little bit better. And then I have a really bad day the next day or whatever. But I always have some sort of energy where I could do YouTube, but I can't do it when I have my children. And it's really difficult because I can't really film with my kids. I've done vlogs and stuff, but it's I don't want them all over the internet. I don't really care that they show up in the background or anything. But the channel's not about them. And that's what's hard about doing a day in the life vlog is my children are everything. I'm with them the whole day. Everything I do is about them and my health. Right? It's those two things. It's for my children and my health. And then when my husband's off work, it's for him. And it's hard because a day in my life is kids. And so how do you do that without showing your kids and putting them on the internet? I don't know. I don't know how to do it. And that is the style I could do while I'm with my kids. But then outside of that, it's it just doesn't really work out because then at the end of the night, I'm so tired that I have no energy. But I can do this once a week and it helps me. And so knowing that I just get to sit down and chat with my friends. What was that? Chat. I just get to sit down and chat with my friends and hang out with you and answer your questions. It's going to be great. So that was episode 1 of the Sick is Cool podcast, aka episode 30, I don't know, what are we on? 36, 35 of the podcast in general. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know how you're feeling in the comments on YouTube or email me. I want to know what is going on for you. And I want to know what questions you have for me as someone who is a life coach who lives chronically ill. If you're still here, welcome. I love you. Thank you for being here. Let's end this, and I will see you on the next episode of the new Sick is Cool podcast. Talk to you soon.